Welcome to The Life Burst, a Wixoss podcast where we go over more of the competitive side of Wixoss to try to help you level up your game. Today, we're going to go over a whole set review, so watch as my voice slowly disappears. I did it out of order, so if you can guess what order I did it in, feel free, based on my raspy voice on its own. We're going to go over the set review of Glowing Diva. To start off with these set reviews, we are going to split it a little bit this time into talking about the center L rigs and pieces, and then I'll talk about assists after the fact. So we're also doing not just Glowing Diva, but also the starter decks that were introduced in Glowing Diva. And we're just going to talk a little bit more of a deep dive as to these centers individually, as well as their pieces that are associated with them, and just the general pieces in general. So, without further ado, let's go talk about it. Ariana, step towards the top. Team, no limit. It's team ability, and you should remember this with breaking teams. You don't lose all of the abilities, and you don't have to play on a team, but you lose your team ability. And the team ability on this case is the constant attacking Signy on your field to get plus 2,000 power. You have the enter ability to draw a card and enter charge 1, and you also get the once a game ability of this L rig gains. Whenever this L rig attacks, you may down 2 upped level 2 fully grown assist L rigs on your field. If you do, this L rig deals damage to the opponent unless the opponent discards a card with guard till end of turn. Basically is a effect based free attack almost, if you want to think about it that way. Its grow cost, as all level 3s, are 2. So when you're looking at this, you should be going, holy crap, this card's aggressive. That's the first thing that you should do. It's got so many things that say that. Attacking Signy, get plus 2,000 power. The fact that you're drawing a single card, aka you're only getting a little bit of gas, but a little bit of gas in red goes a long way. The fact that it enter charges 1 means that you're basically lowering the grow cost of this to 1, which makes it the cheapest center to grow ever. And the fact that it's basically getting you a free life burst damage with its ability. Plus, if you ever look at its team ability, team piece, it's also pretty aggressive. This is your staple mono red center. When you break teams, this is still your staple mono red center. If you decide to be crazy and break teams, right? Losing the attacking Signy on your field gets plus 2,000 power is not the worst thing to lose. The worst thing to lose would be the once a game action ability, which lets you get in free damage, which you don't lose. So yeah, if you want to break teams in the future with this, feel free. It's a very strong card, and it's loaded mostly on the enter ability and the action ability. It is a staple. No Limit stays a good deck for the rest of the game's history, although it starts to diminish a little bit as time goes on. Later on down the line, they introduce another Harina that is less good, and you still use this one. So yeah, it's a staple. It's a strong staple if you want to play red, and aggressive red. This is your gal. It's also worth noting that she's so strong that she kind of overshadows a lot of her team. Rei is a control center, but Akino is much less playable because you just would rather play Harina, period. All right, moving right along. We got MC Lion, third verse. Its team is card jockey. Its team abilities: look at the top 4 cards of your deck, add up to 2 cards, doesn't have to be, it could be anything, add up to 2 to your hand, and the rest to your trash. It's very rare that white is putting stuff in your trash, by the way, so that's worth mentioning. Its action ability is once a game, this L rig gets, whenever this L rig attacks, at the end of the attack, if the opponent didn't take any damage by this attack, you may down an upped level 2 assist L rig on your field. If you do, you can up this L rig and you can attack with it again, basically, is what that mostly means. Do you want to break teams to have this? I think the answer is no. Because the power in this, while yes, that once a game ability is pretty good, it basically says, I don't care how many guards you have, what damage prevention you have. I'm getting in that last piece of damage to kill you. You'll find sometimes awkwardly they're at like 1 life cloth, and you're like, yeah, this doesn't end the game. That enter ability is quite strong. Being able to draw 2 on entering, and being able to draw 2 from a filter 4, and then that 2 going to your trash, which means that sometimes that's relevant. It's not. First off, the center is not the strongest center in the world. If you're playing if you're playing Card Jockey, you're playing it because of Endless Punchline, not necessarily because of the center. And the center does play well with Endless Punchline, the piece. So, is it worth team breaking? I don't think so with this. She also has an assist that is better than her center for team breaking later down the line. So you're probably, if you're team breaking with MC Lion, you're probably using her as an assist. We've got Never Give Up, Dr. Tamago. I love this little fur ball. Team is Uchu no Hajimari. Its enter ability is draw a card, your opponent discards a card, and that's the team ability, by the way. And its auto is whenever this L-Rig attacks, if there's 5 or more cards under it, you get to draw a card. If there's 7 or more cards under it, you get to draw a card, and your opponent has to discard a card. Its once a game ability is you can take all the cards underneath all your other L-Rigs, aka your assists, and put it under there. So if your assists are fully grown at level 2, you'll get that 7 claws. If they're at level 1, you'll get that 5 claws. Let's start with the question, do you want to team break with this card? And the answer is, you can team break with this card if you want to. Its enter ability of drawing a card is not super relevant. It's okay. But making the opponent discard a card is good. It's just like an incidental resource grind is great. That actually has come up quite a bit, where dropping the opponent's hand from 4 to 3 is pretty big, and then dropping the opponent's hand from 3 to 2 is really big in those types of decks that are grinding the resources. So it is relevant and will be missed if you don't do it. That being said, if you wanted to team break with it, the more relevant thing is that every time you attack, you're making the opponent discard a card, and you're grinding their resources. So you have the ability to team break with this, although I wouldn't suggest it. She has another center that is better for team breaking later down the line, so keep that in mind. Is this card great? Yes. Yeah, if you want to be a hand control deck, this is sort of the staple. There will be other control decks that start to exist and kind of dethrone Dr. Tamago down the line, but for right now, it's always a good option. Her second version that will come out will be better than her first version, so you'll upgrade her at some point. All right, you got Musica. This is a team diagram. Its team ability is during your turn, the Signy in the opponent's center Signy zone gets negative 2,000 power. Its enter ability is you can add a target Signy from your trash to your hand. Its once a game ability is you can return target level 1 diagram L-Rig on your field to the L-Rig deck. Okay, let's start with the question. Do you want to team break with this? The answer is probably no. Giving a constant negative 2,000 power to the center on your opponent is super awkward. It makes it so that way you're pretty much always killing whatever's in the center, and they can't put like small things in the center, otherwise you're going to get it. And all that also means that plus your black like power draining removal, you will probably kill anything that's in the center and lane open. It would be missed if you broke it. Also, its once a game ability isn't necessarily a team ability, but it is a team ability. You add target level 1 diagram from L-Rig to your hand. Reminder that you cannot grow a level 2 and then grab that level 1 and then grow on top of the level 2. That's not how it works. You have to keep it open. Generally speaking, your abilities are giving something Lancer or drawing some more cards. And you do want the option between it. Yeah, you could just say, I only have 1, and that's fine. But you probably want the option because depending on if the game is a long game or a short game, right, you want the option between the two of them. And then, so really the only benefit you're getting from team breaking is adding a card from your trash to your hand. Signy, it can be a guard, by the way, which is relevant text. It's good, but it's not worth just having a level 3 on its own. This is a great diagram center. And it will stay a great diagram center for the rest of its lifetime if you want to play diagram. Diagram does not necessarily stay great in the meta as the meta ages, but the versatility in this is good. You also have some future proofing in the fact that, like, since it doesn't give you an exact like direction to go down, it means that you will always be able to play powerful cards in this deck and it will stay powerful. If we get more diagram assists in the future, this power only goes up because it gives you more options. The power in this is the versatility, so it stays a staple in the diagram deck, even if the diagram deck gets aged out a little bit as time goes on. Let's talk about pieces. Top that out here. Take this out, and Elrig out, and boom. All right, we don't have a ton of pieces to go over, but it will definitely end the video. We'll go over them pretty quickly. Glory Grow. Glory Grow is a zero-cost team piece that says your opponent can't guard, and your center Elrig gains double crush. But you have to be no limit to play it. It is amazing. It's not overpowered, but it's amazing. I would say staple. You're going to be using this in your no limit deck, and it's one of the reasons to play a no limit deck on its own. It is very, very, very aggressive. Cool. Endless Punchline. Just like Glory Grow, Endless Punchline is a staple. If you are playing Card Jockey, you are absolutely playing it because of this. You can learn more about this in my Endless Punchline Card Jockey deck tech, but basically what it says is that if you build your deck correctly, right, and you reveal a level 3 or a spell off the top of your deck when you attack, MC Lion will be able to attack 3 times in one turn. That's very, very, very strong. It's hard to guard 3 times in a row. Happiny Destruction. It is the team piece of Uchu no Hajimari, and unlike the other two, this isn't necessarily the reason to play Uchu no Hajimari, but what you're doing in that deck, those colors and that center, this goes flawlessly with it, so it's not overpowered and it's not a reason to play the deck, but it goes seamlessly with the deck, which is basically when it attacks, you get to choose up to 3 of these. You can either make the opponent discard a card at random, draw a card, any amount of 3 of those. You're going to be making them discard cards until they're at 0 hand size, and then you are free to resource grind them to death. Or if if you're playing against a longer game, or the opponent doesn't have cards in hand because they blew their cards out because they're an aggressive deck, you're drawing cards and finding the correct cards to win the game. It's a staple in this deck, probably to the end of this deck's existence, because if you're playing this team, again, you're resource grinding, so it's good. And that goes with its future centers as well. Maybe not Bang, but Nova likes playing this card as well. Diagram, also a staple. This is another reason why you'd be playing Diagram, the team. I don't think it's necessarily amazing like other people do, but it costs 0. You have the ability to do 1 when your Elrig attacks, which is put the top 15 cards of your opponent's library into their trash, or add the top 3 cards. Basically, you can add up to 3 Signy without guard from your trash to your hand. So it's draw 3 or make your opponent mill 15. Making them mill 15 is not the end of the game. If you're going to do that, try to do it when they're at 16 cards in their deck, so that way they're not drawing their full turn. There's a weird rule on that. You can look more on for weird rules for that type of stuff. But basically, you deprive them from drawing a card if you hit them at 16 cards in deck. It's going to refresh one of their life cloth, which means it's basically a good way to burst a life cloth. But unlike this, which gets 3 life cloth, and this, which gets 2 life cloth, this gets 1 life cloth. So it's not amazing, but it does put things in awkward situations. You get to reshuffle their deck, for example, and sometimes that can mess them up. You get to pull stuff out of their graveyard when they refresh, so that can mess them up. It's awkward. It's awkward enough that I would say that this is good and is a staple in the Diagram deck. We have Go to the Top. I actually like this one. It's above average playability. The use conditions for this one is that you have a white Elrig and a red Elrig. And then you can search your deck for any Signy, put it into your hand, and you can enter burn the opponent for 3 if their Elrig level is 3. It costs 3 to do. It's good. It's a good way for mid-range decks or aggro decks to find a key lane clear or a key piece they need to win the game, as well as enter burn them so that way they might miss on an assist grow, and then you can screw them that way. It's above average playability. Its cost 3 is awkward, so it's not always going to be played, but it's worth considering if you have the deck requirements. Okay, Silent Assassin I don't think is all that great. It is okay. If you're a mid-range green-red deck, you might play this. It basically gives 2 Signy on your field Assassin, but only if they're up against a wall, 12,000 or more. It's okay to play, but it's not amazing. I would probably say it's playable, or maybe borderline playable. It will get aged out as the format grows, so keep that in mind. Great Reversal. Great Reversal also is in the same boat. It's very playable right now, as set 0-1 exists. It's used conditions that you have a white Elrig and a blue Elrig. You can put 2 frozen Signy from your opponent's field to the trash. By set 4, this will eventually phase out, and it costs 5. That's so much. Enter. But it's a good way to basically just have access to a way to end the game for a control deck. I would say it gets outpaced in the future sets, by set 4 basically, so even set 3. So you probably will stop playing this sooner rather than later. Actually, in set 2, there's a piece that comes out that you probably play over it. So borderline playable, will get outgrown. All right, code L0. Use conditions. You have a blue Elrig and a green Elrig on your deck. It costs 3 enter. If you have no life cloth cards in your life cloth, you can shuffle your deck and add the top card of your deck to your life cloth. Is it good? No, it's bad. Don't play it. It's sad because it's got bang and I like bang, but nope, don't play it. Nightmare Step, also not a probably playable piece. Its user conditions is that you have a green and a black. If you have 25 or more cards in your trash, then you can put all of the opponent's Signy into their enter zone at the cost of 6. Board wiping at 6 enter is on rate. It's not great. It's not exciting, but it's on rate. It's barely playable. It will get outpaced in the future stuff. I don't think you should use it in general. It also has the condition where you have to have 25 or more cards in your trash. So let's go ahead and just call this one unplayable. You'll probably be better off not having it. All right, Never Surrender. If you have no cards in your hand, then you can add up to 2 target Signy without cards from your trash to your hand. Its cost piece is 0. If you are an incredibly aggressive deck and you're like, I need some more draw, this is a fine way to do it. If your meta is like nothing but Tamago, this is a fine card to play. Otherwise, it's very, 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 very narrow, and I wouldn't play it. It's probably not worth playing, so let's go ahead and call it just like this. It has a niche scenario where you could use it, but you'd be better off not using it. Tap, tap, down. Tap, down, tap? Yeah. Tap, tap. Tap, tap. Tap, tap, down, down, tap, 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 tap. I don't know. That's every time I say it. I just see tap, tap. Costs 2 if you have no cards in your life cloth. Down target Signy on your opponent's field. It also matters that this has the attack phase timing. I don't think any of the other ones had the attack phase timing, so I didn't miss out by saying this didn't have attack phase timing. It's no good. Don't play it. It's got too many requirements and it's not very good defensively. I would just pass on it. And then we're going to talk about Kiria. I can never pronounce it. I just always say Kirikirum. And I know that that's not it. My wife, Tiffany, does, however, is able to pronounce it correctly. It's got the main phase and attack phase timing. Its ability allows you to enter charge and draw 1. It costs 0. This is, again, like Chime of the Blessed Key, the bar. It's, if you don't have any other idea of what to put in as a piece, you can put this in, and your deck would be better for it, no matter what. It also has the attack phase timing, so sometimes you can screw up your opponent's math by they look at your enter and go, all right, well, you need 4 enter to assist grow, so I'm fine going into attacks. And you go, and they go, all right, Nothing on my thing, anything on your defense step. You go, yep, enter charge 1, put out my assist, and they go, crap, I got blown out because of it. It also has the main phase timing, so you can fix your hand, you can get yourself a boost to your enter charge if you're being enter screwed or enter starved. It's always going to be pretty relevant. So I'd say this card is good. It's a staple. You should consider picking up at least one copy, so that way you have this at any point in time for your meta. And with that, we have talked about all the centers and all the pieces that you can have in Glowing Diva. You can always message down below if you disagree with me on any of these things or want to fight me, or subscribe if you want to see more future deck reviews, as well as set reviews and more podcast stuff.